It is a big week for the Minnesota Vikings and the NFC North standings because we are 1 week away from playing for our ultimate destiny in the NFC. But in order to do that, they've got to beat the red hot Green Bay Packers. It's the Minnesota Vikings-Green Bay Packers preview. But first, before I do that, a little story time. Yesterday and every day, pretty much, I record this podcast sometimes at 4:30 in the morning, sometimes at 5:30 in the morning. Yesterday, I recorded it right around 5:45 in the morning. And my wife worked yesterday, which isn't normal, but a holiday schedule this week because of Christmas. So, things look a little differently. And I'm done recording. My wife calls me up and she said, "Tim." So I run upstairs. Zoe threw up. I'm like, uh-oh. So Zoe's our 2-year-old daughter. She threw up in her sleep the previous night. Last night she slept well. The previous night she threw up. So that means I'm in charge of our sick daughter while my wife goes to work on that day. And my son wakes up, who's almost 11 months, and he throws up too. So 2 sick kids. I was sick on Tuesday. Now I got 2 sick kids on Thursday. My wife's got to work this day. And just to give you a little preview of what happened, I got thrown up on 3 separate times. And it's sad. It is sad. It's a little emotional seeing 2 kids under 2 thrown up, lethargic, sad. Somehow my son was still like boosting with energy and wanted to wrestle and do the things that boys do. My daughter laid on the couch all day. And of course I shed several tears because it's a sad situation. But I had a Viking sweatshirt on. That got throw up all over. I put on a white t-shirt. That got throw up all over. And then at the end of the day, I'm like, you know what? I'm not going to wear a t-shirt anymore. Because all these things got to go in the washer. I'm just going to go shirtless. A few moments later, got throw up all over my chest. And it was like one of those moments where you can almost see it coming, but like they're kids. How can you tell them to lean over a garbage can or get them to the toilet? You can't really do that. So they're laying on the couch, lying on the floor. You don't want to get on the carpet. You don't want to get it on the couch. So I'm just running. You can see it building. And I jump. Stop. Throw myself in front of a bullet. And I took the hit. And that's my story from yesterday. I think they're feeling better today, though. So hopefully they bounce back. They're still in bed right now. So that's good. All right. Minnesota Vikings, Green Bay Packers preview. Both teams are red hot right now. Packers, Vikings. Vikings are on an 8-game heater. Packers are on a 6-game heater. And this is an important matchup for both teams. Both teams are playing for something. Because if the Packers win out, they can potentially be the 5th seed. And if the Vikings, if they beat the Packers, that means they have the tiebreaker. And I feel like, next week, it might matter with seeding for maybe a different wild card team for the Packers, but it certainly wouldn't matter with the Vikings. So this is a big game for the Green Bay. And it's also a big game for Minnesota because they win out. They're the number 1 seed in the NFC. They got the bye week that everyone wants. That's so coveted. And you got home field advantage throughout the playoffs, which is a huge advantage. So you look at this matchup particularly, and it's very interesting because you think about the different things that go into this matchup. And psychologically, I think we all think that this is a battle, this is tough, this is the ultimate test, anybody's ball game. And going into the matchup, maybe it is. But you look at the score since 2020, and the teams have split the season series, and only 3 of the scores since 2020. We're looking at 9 matchups right here. Only 3 of the 9 matchups have resulted in 1-score games. And the previous matchup, 31-29, The Vikings are up 31-22 with, a minute or two left. Got the onside kick. Game was over. So even that one is a little not accurate. The score is not reflective of what the outcome really was. But you look at the first matchup, 43-34. Second matchup, 22-28. There's a one-score game. Third matchup, 31-34, one-score game. Then you got 37-10, 23-7, 41-17, 24-10, 33-10, and they got 31-29, which happened earlier this season. So this game isn't necessarily as close as I think we like to think, because for some reason, one of the teams gets hot, one of the teams struggles, and it's likely to become a blowout. And that's what we've seen since 2020. Now, something that has been fascinating to follow, and I look at these every week, is the line entering this game. And to begin, the Vikings were favored to beat the Packers by like a point and a half, something like that. It's basically a pick'em game. But now it has shifted towards the Green Bay Packers being favored. And right now, via DraftKings, the Green Bay Packers are favored by 1 point. So it's basically still a pick'em game. 1 point, but it means a little bit more when the road team is favored, because historically, or at least based on how the odds work, a home team is always given a little boost because of the home field advantage, because of the noise, because of that factor. And right now, for the Vikings to be not favored is, I think, a bigger thing than we want to realize based on how the odds actually work. So you look at the Vikings.com preview, and they always do a good job of giving insights from both sides. It says this: both players, Jordan Love and Sam Darnold, are on 6-game streaks with the one or more passing touchdowns since November 17th. In that time frame, they're both top 3 in passer rating, each behind Jared Goff. And they own 15-1 and 9-1 touchdown to interception ratio split. So Darnold's the 15-1 split, and Jordan Love's the 9-1 ratio split. And you take a look at this. This has been the thing that I really noticed. Overall, Jordan Love has been incredibly difficult this year to get on the ground. His 2.79 sack percentage is lowest in the league, and a colossal improvement from 2023 when he dropped 4.93% of the time. You compare that to Darnold. Darnold hasn't stayed upright as often, and during a sack rate of 8.89% of dropbacks. He's one of 3 QBs to be sacked 4 more times in 6+ games this season. Love has 0 such games on his 2024 ledger. Now, I didn't see this, but I'd be very curious to see what percentage of big plays happen. Because a part of the reason why Darnold is sacked so much is that Minnesota Vikings offensively go for the big play. They love the home run ball. And that's one of Sam Darnold's strengths. Throw the ball down the field, get the ball down the field to Jefferson and Hockenson and Addison. And I would argue, probably based on what we're looking at right now, one of Jordan Love's strengths is getting rid of the ball quick and short, quick routes, getting the ball to his wide receivers and making his wide receivers make plays. And that's really been, I feel like, what Green Bay does. Like, I feel like even Aaron Rodgers, I mean, he had home run ball talent and he did it all the time, but I feel like he even got rid of the ball quick and got it to Devontae Adams and got it to Jordy Nelson, and he got it to those guys and they made a play and they got rid of a tackler and they walked into the end zone. I just feel like that's Green Bay's formula, and I feel like it's been that formula for a long time. I'm worried about this game for the Vikings because the Green Bay Packers are rolling and they have a tendency to get hot at the right time. And we're seeing that right now with Jordan Love. We saw it last year with Jordan Love. And here's Green Bay's last 5 games: 34 points, 30 points, 31 points, 30 points, and 38 points. So they're offense is rolling right now. And the Minnesota Vikings, they're also rolling right now. 8-game win streak. But you look at what the Packers have been doing, and they've been winning. They've been blowing teams out. And I guess you could argue that the teams that they blew out aren't good. They blew out the Saints 34-0. Blew out Seattle 30-13, but Geno Smith got hurt. Blew out Miami. Tua stinks in the cold. Blew out San Fran. They're a disaster this year. Beat Chicago by 1 because of a blocked field goal earlier this year. And they lost to the Lions 34-31. I know earlier I said that a 6-game win streak, but it's not true. They've won 5 of their last 6, though. So I guess their blowouts have happened against terrible teams, record-wise. But the Green Bay Packers, I think this is a tougher game than the Detroit Lions game. Just because of the way they're playing, the Lions injuries, and you factor all those things together, and that's what it looks like. Justin Jefferson had some comments to make about this game. He was interviewed by a scrum of reporters, and here's what he had to say.
Just on just the competition in our division, it's definitely high. Just especially with us, still competing for the #1 spot. Detroit is still a dominant team. Green Bay is also still a dominant team as well as us. So it's definitely, this year has definitely been crazy. Just to see the talent that we have on our side of the division. But these last 2 games are definitely big for us. But just going against Green Bay, everybody knows we hate them and they hate us. The fans know. Just the whole rivalry in general is something to get juiced up about. So I definitely rank this one pretty high.
So Jefferson says everybody knows that we hate Green Bay, and that the Packers, they hate us as well. And it feels like it has the ingredients to be a close game based on how teams are playing. Based on history, the Green Bay Packers win this game because they've split the season series since 2020. Last year, Vikings won at Green Bay, and the Green Bay Packers won at Minnesota. This year, Vikings won at Green Bay, and this outcome is yet to be determined. One thing to pay attention to is that it appears that Justin Jefferson's son, Jair Alexander of the Green Bay Packers, will not be playing this week. He was asked, Packers head coach Matt LaFleur was asked on if he thinks Jair Alexander has a better shot at playing this week. And he mentioned, I'd say probably not. So that's a factor going into this game. And he's missed the last few. But I think he's one of those players that struggles at times versus Justin Jefferson. He likes to think he's all that in a bag of chips. Jefferson has made comments about him in the past, talking about how he tries to get in his head, he tries to talk trash. He's clearly got talent, and he's done some things for the Packers that has been very good. And we've seen him rise to the occasion before. But he seems like one of those players that rises to the occasion at the end of the year, which appears to not play in this game. But then also, doesn't really do much for the other part of the year. So I don't know. I don't really follow the Packers all that closely, but based on what Jair Alexander has done, I mean, it's a good thing for the Minnesota Vikings that he's not playing because he's still a very good cornerback. But how much fear does he really put in Justin Jefferson? I've seen videotapes of one-on-one coverage of Jefferson versus Jair, and Jefferson has been schooling him since this matchup has begun. But as far as prediction time goes, oh man, Vikings have been on a heater, so have the Packers. You look at this game, and my leniency goes towards the Packers winning this football game. It just feels to me like they're going to be better in this game. Last year, I think about the way they closed the season, and I think about what they're doing right now. And even though it's against bad opponents, it seems to be the trend. And even though the Minnesota Vikings are on an 8-game heater as well, I lean towards the Green Bay Packers winning this football game. And as far as score goes, again, my first thought is it's going to be a one-score, close, one field goal game. But you look historically, and even this year, Vikings had, a 22-0 lead, 21-0 lead to start the game. It's like not all these games are close. So you look at this game, and I'll pick Packers to win it 28-21. And it's a one-score game. It falls under the one-score game category. But I'm going to say Packers win this game 28. I'll change it. 28-24. Vikings lose 28-24. And their matchup versus the Lions is not as important, but still important because of the seeding. And now they split again, the season series, Vikings-Packers. All right, everyone, thank you for watching. Thank you for making this podcast part of your day. I hope I don't get thrown off the bottom 3 times today. So pray for my kids and my family to feel better. Thank you for watching.